Hey everyone, Jimmy at the Barker Beat. I am excited to get to step 2 today of the 13 principles of success. Step 2 today is faith, and it's probably one of the most important steps. That's why it's probably near the top of the list. We still got a good amount to go, but before I get started on faith, I want to give a shout out to my brother from another mother, Ed Milet. Ed Milet, you are an amazing individual. You get me motivated every morning, whether it's I'm watching interviews you had with Rob Diedrich, to Eric Thomas, to fitness sensation Paige Hathaway, which I actually been following on her on Instagram for about a year before I even knew about you, Ed. But I do want to let you know that I do thank you for reaching out to me. You reach out to, it seems like, almost everybody, which has got to be quite a task. But when you do reach out to us, you are giving us faith. Faith that our desire mixed with our action gets results. And so that's why I'm so excited. You get me pumped because you get us going. And so you are definitely the fuel in my engine, my friend, and I look forward to meeting you someday. Time may not be right at the moment, but that's fine. The universe will show me when it's right. But with you just tapping in every once in a while and saying, "Hey, I got an eye on you, brother," you're definitely helping me with motivation. I know you have your hashtag Max Out, which is your book and your new program. I'm going to just tell you mine. Everybody's got their thing. Mine is motivation, inspiration, and perspiration. So you'll be seeing a lot of those hashtags, and just to cut it down short is hashtag MIP. You down with MIP? Yeah, you know me. Sorry, stole that from my generation of hip-hop. So going to faith. So again, thank you, Ed. And this one, along with a lot of them, are for you, but or dedicated to you, as I say. This is for me, for my daughter, for my wife, and for those that are watching. Hopefully they, just from this, will, take a look at Ed Milet on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. So having said that, now let's move to step 2 of our principle of success, which is faith. Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with the vibration of thought, the subconscious instantly picks it up. They pick up that vibration, it translates it into the spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to the infinite intelligence, as in the case of prayer. Infinite intelligence, God, Allah, universe, the ultimate being, or energy source. We all know that energy is real, proven by science. That energy can be bad and it can be good, and both can be very contagious. And one of the ways I got one of my coworkers to understand it, everybody always says the one thing: man, laughter is contagious. So you hear someone cracking up, and you can tell it's a hearty laugh. You can't help but to smile and then maybe start chuckling yourself. You didn't hear what joke or story they heard, but you just start laughing because you are connecting to their energy. They could be across the room or across the auditorium, okay? And you're matching that energy because it feels good, and it feels good to have that emotion. And that's what is here. Emotion is so important with faith. They're the 3 most powerful of all major positive emotions: is faith, love, and sex. We'll get on the love and sex area of the thing, and the doggy's barking outside. We'll get that another time, but right now we want to focus on faith, which is absolutely one of the most powerful of all major positive emotions. Faith is a state of mind. You kind of have to learn it, but you also feel it. Sometimes our environments teach us that, and the faith in that state of mind, it's developed at will. You have to want to believe in something to have faith in it, okay? All thoughts which have been emotionalized or given feeling to, all thoughts that are given feeling to and then mixed with faith begin immediately to translate themselves into their physical equivalent or counterpart. Now that's directly from the book. That's why it doesn't sound like me, a kid from Detroit, talking. I want to give as much information and place it into different types of situations or words. You got Napoleon Hill, and then you got Jimmy from Detroit. Okay, I'm giving you a little bit of both here, so I'm looking at notes as well. That's why I'm looking down. The thoughts which are mixed with any of the feelings or emotions they constitute a magnetic force, which attracts from the vibrations of the ether, or and other similar or related thoughts. Ether being the dark matter that's holding the energy. Okay, one thing that a lot of people don't understand, or they've heard this, there's no limits to your success. There's no limits to this. There are no limits to the mind except for those that you acknowledge. Okay? You acknowledge bad thoughts. You mix that with the bad feeling. Bad shit's going to happen to you, my friend. It works both ways. The magnet of power, of energy, doesn't care what type of life you've been living, and except for what energy you've been living, what energy and emotion you're spreading out. What you put out, you get back in. Okay, so in order to get riches or get happiness, you can't sit on your butt and do no action. You want happiness, you can't sulk all day. We all have had bad shit happen to us, okay? We've had bad instances, and you know what? It takes time, and there's no set time limit on how long it will take a person to get over anything that's going on in their life. It is kind of in a universal way. Some people believe in God. It's God's plan. It's God's plan. Well, it's your plan. And, if you believe in God, he's looking over you, and he tells you, according to the Bible, that you have free will. Does that sound familiar? Faith is a state of mind that is developed at will. Okay? Now, having said that, we go to how do you develop faith? Okay? Faith is a state of mind, again, that may be induced or created by affirmations or repeated instructions to the subconscious mind through the principle of autosuggestion. Now, autosuggestion is going to be the next chapter, and you'll through this, hopefully, you'll understand. It'll get a little ahead of chapter 3 of exactly what autosuggestion is and how it's developed and why. And it's important for faith. Basically autosuggestion is something that you repeat to yourself over and over again, or you repeatedly see over and over again, and either it's visually or you hear it. What you see and what you hear, what matches up with them? Feelings, emotions. You see something happy, you just don't make that face and not feel it. Your face is the poster board or the billboard of your emotions, okay? So you see something sad or you hear something sad, you start crying, okay? So again, your face is the billboard of your emotions. Emotion, like I said, is very important in using faith. The emotions or the feeling portion of your thoughts are the factors that give thoughts vitality, life, and action. Millions of people believe themselves doomed. They believe themselves doomed to poverty and failure because some strange force over which they believe they have no control. You have control. You have control, I promise you. They are the creators of their own misfortunes. Okay, because of this negative belief, which is picked up by the subconscious mind and then translated into the physical equivalent. Now, I'm repeating myself because I'm trying to help you understand autosuggestion. The mind comes to take on a nature of influences that dominate it. Okay, your major influences at the beginning of life would be your parents, your sister, your brother, your cousins, whoever you're living with around you. Basically, your environment. Whoever's in your environment, what they're doing auto-suggests in your subconscious that's what you got to be doing, or that's how things are done. A lot of times when you're a kid, things aren't explained to you. You just see stuff. You see you see this going on, and then you see the result, and you collate those two. Now, I'm going to get a little personal here. If I'm going to do this right, I'm going to do this right. Okay? I grew up poor. Didn't have much. Did what we could. We had a big family. My parents divorced when I was 4. My dad remarried when I was 5. So it went from just, my dad being a single dad for a very short time with my sister, who was 12 at the time, and I was 4. Remarries, and all of a sudden, boom, I got 2 brothers. She's got a teenage brother, and I have my stepbrother Mikey. He was only a year and a half. He is only a year and a half older than me. Now, during this time, my dad's the only one working, so that's gonna weigh heavy. It is the early 80s, and things are cheaper, but so are wages. Wages aren't the way they were today. Unfortunately, it's kind of weird how things go up in price, but our wages just tick, and we wonder why there's so many middle-class people working paycheck to paycheck. Well, back in the 80s, it was tough too. It was really tough. My dad would come from a blue-collar family. My dad was a Boilermaker. He retired. So Boilermaking involves anything you think of in an oil refinery outside of stirring and pushing and pulling and putting in the crude oil. He made the things that oil and the smokestacks and everything like that. He was a welder. Okay, he busted his ass. I saw him bust his ass. As a kid, he worked so much that when I saw him come home from work after a 10, 12, or 16-hour day, my man was exhausted, filthy, tired. Took a shower, ate, crashed, did it all over again. Boom, 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 boom. So it's like I saw this hard work. But the results were confusing. Now, I visited my sister recently, and she said, one thing that, Dad and I don't get along very, very well, or we don't see eye to eye about certain things. But damn it, one thing he taught me, Jimmy, he taught me work ethic. He was working all the time. He was always outside of the house, and then when he come back in, he'd be exhausted. You could see that he busted his ass. The only problem I have with that now as a man, as someone who has struggled with money, with focus, with understanding of what it is to bust your ass and get results. The results I saw were confusing because I would see my dad bust his ass, but then we'd have to move because we couldn't afford the place anymore, our home. Or when we were able to afford this and that, the phone would be shut off for a month or so. Okay, this is where we all had landlines back then, okay? No cell phones, no cell phone carrier or anything like that. You had to stand, the phone rang, you had to walk across the room and stand where the phone was, unless you got those long little, accordion things, and you're walking back and forth and this and that, and you're tripping over things, and if you got a house full of kids like we did, it could get annoying. So it was confusing. Over the years, I saw him bust his ass, but the result was not what I would think busting your ass would be. Now, to make it even more confusing, my uncle and my aunt, they had kids, 4 smaller ones, 2 teenagers and two kids, and one was a new toddler, Tony. They were on welfare. We were not. And now, every once in a while, my aunt would work. My uncle had trouble, but they would get their welfare, and their food each month. And back in the 80s, you'd get a supply. You'd walk up to a place or you'd get it sent to your home, and then along with food stamps. Well, you're not allowed to give out food stamps, but with WIC, they would give you dry milk and extra government cheese. And let me tell you, if any of y'all had that government cheese from the 80s, nothing makes grilled cheese better than that government cheese. It was hard as hell to get that thing off of that big old block, but once you did it, oh, heaven. And you know what kid doesn't like cheese? It's like ice cream and cheese. You know what I mean? So it was glorious. So I'm watching this happen, and I'm thinking, why aren't we? We got the same family, and obviously if we can't pay our bills, the government will help us, the state will help us. My dad never did. He never sought out that help. Whether it was ego, I thought it was just ego. Come to find out, he couldn't. Because as an adult, when I got on welfare, I had to go on welfare. You write down your income, where your money is coming from, how much, and this and that. And I've had a job while being on welfare, so I knew that that could be done. Of course, it's the amount, of course. But I was making $10 an hour and still getting on welfare and getting help from the state. So I was confused as to why. And then when I realized as I was filling out that paperwork, a bell rang. Now, when my brothers came into our lives, they came with Social Security checks. Their father had passed away when they were younger, and the state was giving them welfare checks. So what had happened was that's why my stepmom didn't work for a while. She didn't have to. We were getting the supplemental income come in. Imagine my confusion even more than as an adult. Like, if we're getting that supplemental income, why aren't the bills being paid? Well, because that supplemental income was going to other things besides our home. That supplemental income couldn't be put onto the financial forms for welfare because then we would be denied. So why bother? Yet we would get evicted. Yet the phone would be shut off. Yet we were wearing hand-me-down clothes and on and on. And trust me, I know the pressures of family. I don't have 4 kids to try and feed, but if I did, I would be using every part of income that was coming into us for the family. So what I was seeing was we have these extracurricular things going on, but as far as in my environment, in my child's view, we were constantly without. Now imagine my anger as I got older and when I found this out. It built a resentment, and it then, that's where you start, thoughts become things, and you start dwelling on the bad, and you're like, why not? Why didn't this happen? Why didn't that happen? And just anger and anger and anger. Well, during that time, we were also instilled, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Money don't grow on trees. We've all heard that. My brother Mikey, he was always a great artist. I got jealous whenever he would do something, and he was just amazing. And he was told, he wanted to go to art school, and he was told, you'll be a starving artist. So the easiest thing to do is just, do what I do. Or the easiest thing, I'm not seeing a good example. Now looking back on hindsight, I'm like, that's not a really good example. I love you. I feel like you did the best you could, but we all can do more. We all can do more, and we have to be selfless in order to teach these things. So, I want you to know that environment got me auto-suggested that I can bust my ass, but my faith in paying my bills, while busting my ass, they're not there. And so, it was never good enough, but not blissfully unsatisfied, but it was hopeless unsatisfaction. And that's what we have to get out of. So with faith, that's how you get out of hopeless dissatisfaction. You have faith. The mind comes, like I said, the mind comes to take on the nature of the influences that dominate it. Okay? You need to dominate your mind to encourage positive emotion and discourage and eliminate negative emotions. It's taken me a long time. Again, there's not a time limit on these things except for the one you set for yourself. It's time to break free. And I've been doing it slowly but surely, half-assing it, okay? I've been half-assing it, and this is how I've been, I'm slapping myself in the face. We need to stop half-assing it. So, faith, again, is a state of mind which may be induced by autosuggestion, which we come into the next chapter. One thing I want to leave you with before we go is one thing you have to do is you have to let your faith be bigger than your fears. I was more fearful of paying my bills than having faith that I could. Now, I want to read something from at the end of chapter 2 on faith. And it's a poem. I know last time I left you with a poem. Well, I'm going to leave you with another poem. It's just one of these things. Poems, like songs, like stories, can sink in. Now let me tell you. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but you think you can't, it is almost certain you won't. If you think you'll lose, you're lost. For out of the world we find, success begins with a person's will. It's all in a state of mind. If you think you are outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or the faster man. Life's battles don't always go to the strongest or fastest man. But sooner or later, the one who wins is the one who thinks he can. The one who wins is the one who thinks he can. I'm 43 years old. It's taken me 20 years to finally realize that I can. Don't quit. Never quit, my friends. It's a freeing feeling to finally be able to say, I'm a winner. And my actions, my desire, and my faith show results. And if you see anything on my Instagram under Fitness Poker Pizza and Twitter under Fitness Poker PI1, or in the last couple pics I've shown, you see where I've come from in the past. I was 300 pounds. Just terrible. Of course, heartache and heartbreak got something going. So I started first my health. I've now gotten healthier than ever before. I'm healthier than I've ever been in my entire life. And it's because I believed that I could. Not only did I believe that I could, but I also saw the results, whether it's in the mirror or on the scale. But not only did I see the results, I felt the results. And it's important to feel the results. I love you guys. This was a tough one. This is Jimmy with the Barker Beat.